Right, grade 12. The next thing that we're going to look at is the reasons for the growth in tourism. Remember, in one of the previous lessons, I did mention that tourism is the fastest growing industry, not just in South Africa, but also around the world. And what we're going to look at now is the reasons for that. Why is there such a growth in tourism? Just before we start with that, just remember our definitions are different types of tourism. Inbound and outbound tourism. Both of those are examples of foreign tourism. Okay, inbound tourism is foreigners from other countries that travel into South Africa, and outbound tourism, people from South Africa traveling to a destination outside of South Africa's borders. Then domestic tourism and international tourism. Domestic tourism is traveling by residents of a country within their own country. So, for example, South Africans traveling to a different province, a province other than the one that they are staying in. And then international tourism is the same as foreign tourism. That is when people travel outside the borders of their own country. All right, so inbound and outbound tourism are categories of international tourism. And then internal tourism is traveling inside of our country. So that'll include the domestic tourists as well as outbound tourists. South Africans that are traveling, regardless of whether they are traveling inside the borders of South Africa or whether they're going to different destinations outside of the borders. Okay, so we're going to look at different reasons, like why is there a growth in foreign tourism? And then why is there an increase also in domestic tourism? All right, so for foreign tourism, the first factor that is causing an increase in the tourist industry is the wide range of tourist attractions in South Africa. All right, obviously we are looking at it from a South African perspective, okay? So why has there been an increase in foreigners coming into South Africa? And the first reason, obviously, is the wide range of tourist attractions. We have a lot to offer the foreign tourists. We have 7,000 different cultures. We have world-renowned attractions, specific tourist attractions. We have special interest activities, the scenic beauty, the climate is pleasant and desirable. We have the natural wildlife. We've got wild wilderness areas. All right, if you think like anything that anybody's is going to look for, if they want to come on a holiday, they want to come and sit on the beach, we've got lots and lots of beaches for them to choose from. We have the big five, so if they're into ecotourism, they can come to South Africa. If they want to come and see the mountains, they can come to South Africa. If they're into adventure tourism, mountain climbing, mountain biking, hiking, diving with the sharks, we've got all of that. The cradle of humankind in South Africa. So if paleotourism is their thing, we can offer them that. All right. Any kind of tourist experience that anybody's looking for, they can find that experience in South Africa. The second reason is because there has been an increase in disposable income worldwide. The focus here is not just in South Africa. We are looking at reasons why foreigners are increasing their tourism to South Africa. So internationally, there has just been an increase in income levels and the disposable income of households. Obviously, traveling internationally is more expensive than domestic travel. So you would need more income, you would need more money to pay for an overseas holiday. And if disposable income levels of people are earning more money, obviously they can afford to travel internationally now. And then people also have more leisure time, more leisure time and more time to travel. Some people in your high income groups, they have more leisure time. They can afford to take more leave. Their salaries are so high that they don't need to be at work every single day. They are given a certain amount of leave for the purpose of holiday, and they use that. And because they have more time and they can afford to travel, that is going to cause an increase in the demand for traveling for tourist purposes. Right, I also said there's a reduction of working hours. Okay, with people working less hours, it does leave them with more leisure time to travel. As I said, people are entitled to a certain amount of annual leave every single year, and people are using their annual leave for the purpose of traveling to different destinations. Okay, so if you have less working hours, if you work flexi hours, if you have more time off than normal, obviously that gives you more time to engage in tourist activities. Okay, then in terms of the improved political climate, again, why are people coming to South Africa specifically? All right, so because of the history of South Africa, a large part of the population in South Africa did not have access to travel and tourism in the country in the past. So a lot of South Africans could not afford to travel internationally, okay, because they were marginalized in the past. But since 1994, with the advent of our democracy, previously disadvantaged people, more and more disadvantaged people, have also now been receiving high income levels as a result of more training, better jobs, and they also can afford to travel now. Okay, so there's been an increase in tourism because there's more people in the country that can afford to travel now. Right, and then with the transformation of the country in 1994, the fact that it was relatively peaceful. All right, with the general elections in 1994, the whole procedure of the elections was peaceful. There was not a civil war. We didn't kill like 7,000 million people in that war for the who gets to run the country. It was an agreement between gentlemen, and we had the elections and the ANC took over. There was no like civil war, anything like that, as is the case with some other countries when a government is overthrown. Right, our government wasn't overthrown. We had an election and a new government was chosen. So the fact that the country's transformation was so peaceful, that led also to the lifting of the sanctions. Okay, remember I've said before that in the 1980s and early 90s, South Africa faced a huge amount of sanctions. People were not allowed to travel into South Africa. We couldn't travel to other countries. Businesses couldn't invest here. We couldn't import, we couldn't export as a result of those sanctions. And obviously, with our democracy now, those sanctions was lifted. So it did open up a whole new world. Tourists are now free to come into South Africa when the sanctions were lifted. And that meant obviously that there was an increase in tourism. Right, then there's also an increase in economic activities, okay, specifically in South Africa. It has led to our businessmen traveling more and more to different countries, to different areas in our country. All right, so there's a lot of South Africans, because of the lifting of the sanctions, a lot of South African businessmen now have contacts, business contacts in other countries, and they obviously need to travel in order to maintain those contacts. Right, our business people also travel to other countries to attend different conferences and trade fairs to go and see, in their industry, what is available in other countries. Are we going to export something? Are we going to import something? The technology that's available abroad, can we bring that in here to make our production more efficient? If we don't go and look, we don't know that. All right, so there's a huge increase in business conferences, okay, literally in other countries, trade fairs. For example, I think it's Miami, in January or February every single year, there's a boat show that international, like people from all over the world goes to the boat show to see like what is the latest in terms of boats, the shapes of the hulls, the fashionable colors, like the engines, whatever. And people from around the world go there to see, what is the latest in terms of that. Okay, then South Africa specifically has very good conference and convention centers, multiple ones, lots and lots of them. So people from foreign countries, specifically on the African continent, they love coming to South Africa when there's a convention to be held. I mean, we even hosted an environmental convention, a world international convention. The World Summit on Sustainable Development was held in Johannesburg. So the delegates of different countries' governments came to South Africa to attend that conference, okay? Because we do have the facilities. We have the facilities, we have the hotels, we have the conference centers, we have exhibition centers, sporting medical facilities, our private hospitals are top class. Okay, we have exhibition centers like Nasrec, Nebig, where anybody, the Dome, anybody can go and exhibit there. We have the facilities to host these affairs. With sports, obviously, after the 2010, we have multiple stadiums that was built for the 2010, the Soccer World Cup, and we can use those sporting facilities also as an attraction. Right, and as I mentioned before, South Africa is the major business center specifically for the African continent. A lot of African affairs are conducted on our soil, but also, as I said, like the World Summit that was held internationally, countries from all over the world came to attend to that we will discuss in the next chapter. Okay, the next reason for an increase in foreign tourism is the fact that there has been improved transport facilities and infrastructure. Okay, our transport facilities have been upgraded, our harbors are being upgraded all the time, our airports have been upgraded. So it's just easier for tourists to travel because the transport facilities is there. All right, our roads, airports, whatever, it has improved throughout the country, and a lot of money has been devoted to the upgrading of our airports, the local transport. Some airports was moved to locations that is more convenient. Okay, a lot of money is allocated to upgrading the infrastructure, to improve our hotels, specifically aiming at the international tourist market. Okay, in terms of international flights, now on the different airlines, we have different airlines operating in South Africa, and those international flights are becoming more and more regular and more affordable. I would still not say that anybody can afford to travel internationally. It is still more expensive than what the average man can afford, but it's become more affordable compared to, let's say, 10 years ago, 15 years ago. It is cheaper than what it was then. Right, but the flights are more regular. So it's not just once a week that you can fly to different destinations. There's flights almost every single day, sometimes more than one time on a day, different flights to the same destination internationally. So we provide flights to various international destinations. It's easier for people to travel. Right, then the development in communications and technology. Obviously, it brings the world closer. It informs us about what is out there. All right. Obviously, if we are stuck here in Africa and we don't even know that these other countries exist, we are not going to be wanting to travel there. But now with the development in media technology like television, we see on television they've got these shows on DSTV, for example, there's a travel channel where people can look at, people are traveling to this and that, whatever exotic destinations. And we can see with Google, with smartphones, every smartphone you can Google. The internet is available, everybody's fingertips. Social media, we can see what is happening in other countries. We can see the destinations that is available in the countries. And obviously that makes us curious. Okay, we can see that these places exist. And that makes us curious to also want to go and experience those places for ourselves. All right, so any of this technology allows any family to explore different tourist destinations. When you want to book your holiday, you literally have all the information at your fingertips. We are aware of opportunities in other countries. We can see which destination is going to fulfill our specific needs, whether it's just relaxation, where we want to go and see the wildlife, if we want to go see, like play in the water, if you want to sit on the beach, you can literally go onto the internet and see exactly. You can literally Google Earth, I think it is called, where you go literally in and you can zoom in and see exactly what is happening at this time at a specific venue. You can get information on the hotels. You go onto the internet, you can see what the hotel rooms look like. You can get the prices, you can make your bookings. All aspects of your travels can be booked through the internet. If you want to go overseas, you book your accommodation, you can book your transport, you can book the different shows that you want to go and see. You can every aspect of your travel can be booked from the couch at your house through the internet. It's just made it so much easier. All right, and then increases in advertising and promotion. Okay, obviously, through advertising, people are made more aware of different travel destinations. So marketing opportunities that countries make use of. Different countries literally advertise themselves on TV. All right, they have adverts. Come and experience Thailand. Come to Mauritius. Come to this place. South Africa's also have ads out there where we try and entice foreign tourists to come into our country. All right, so we make use of the marketing media that is available there to travel brochures. Then we put advertisements in printed media, in magazines, in newspapers. There's, as I mentioned, travel programs on television. It is all there to market your destination. So countries, destinations, hotels, resorts, they advertise to bring their product to the notice of different consumers. And as I said, as soon as we know it's there, if we don't know it's there, then we don't know. But marketing brings all of these different destinations to our attention so that we know that it is there for us to go and visit. And obviously I said it makes us curious, so we want to go and see that. All right, and then governments of many developing countries obviously has targeted tourism, our country included, because it is a source of low cost growth, right? With minimal investments, because it is so labor intensive, it's not going to cost the government a hell of a lot of money to stimulate the tourist industry. And obviously we know that the agricultural industry is declining, that the relative contribution of agriculture is declining. Manufacturing, we've been facing deindustrialization for a couple of years now. So there's shrinkage in our manufacturing sectors as well. We need to create jobs. We need to increase our GDP. We want the economic growth, and tourism is an ideal opportunity to do that. So the government itself has also allocated money by improving infrastructure through advertising campaigns. There's different advertising campaigns that we are going to talk about later on in this chapter that they have used to obviously promote South Africa as a tourist destination. And they've done that quite successfully. All right, remember, we use advertising, we use promotion marketing to encourage people to buy our product. Only now our product is tourism. We want people to come to our country. Right, then people have also become more aware of the benefits of holiday and travel. Okay, previously tourism traveling was seen as a luxury and mainly aimed at leisure activities. So most people used to travel for the purpose of recreation. So people can go on holiday and relax, but it was seen as a luxury item that only wealthy people could afford to stay away from work, not go to work, still get paid, have money to travel, have money to pay for accommodation, have money to pay for activities at your travel destination. So it was previously seen as a luxury. But nowadays, more and more people are also using traveling as a way to enhance people's knowledge. Now, you learn about different things by visiting. For example, if you do cultural tourism and you go to Namibia and you go spend some time with the Khoisan village there, you're literally going to learn about their culture. It's not just about rest and relaxation and leisure activities. People are using traveling as a way of learning things, gaining knowledge about an area, gaining knowledge about a specific culture, gaining knowledge, whatever, enhancing their knowledge so that they can understand a little bit better of how the world works. All right. And people are also spending more time with family, traveling more for leisure activities, but also for sporting activities. All right, there's a lot of people that travel very often to participate in sporting activities, whether it's races, swimming races, athletics races, running races, but people are traveling more for sporting activities as well. All right, the next reason that has increased, or the factor that has increased availability or the people being willing to travel, all right, it's the fact that it is easier for people to obtain foreign exchange. Okay, nowadays, in the past, you literally had to go to the bank and you had to go and exchange rand for dollars. You had to buy traveler's checks if you didn't want to walk around with cash. All right. Nowadays, you can use your South African bank card. Most of our bank cards, most of our credit cards can be used to make payments internationally. So there's no physical reason for people to go and purchase foreign exchange as such. They literally just hop on the plane. You need a little bit of cash. Obviously, you need a little bit of cash always, but you simply take your South African bank card, and when you have to pay for stuff in other countries, you swipe your South African bank card. So it's easier. It's less of a schlep, less of admin to have to go to the bank to exchange your currencies. You use your same old card. It's the same as swiping here. You just swipe it overseas. All right. Then second last reason, in terms of globalization, okay, people are just better informed about other countries and destinations. As I said, people can do their research. We see on television, we read in magazines, we Google, we have the internet. People have more information about different destinations than what they had in the past. The information is literally at their fingertips. All right. Also increased international access. As I said, there's the flights, international flights are happening more regularly. It's not just once a week like it was in the past. Multiple flights to a specific destination on any given day. And flights to South Africa has also become cheaper. As I said, it's more affordable than what it was 15, 20 years ago. And especially also with South Africa, our exchange rate is very weak. The rand is weak compared to the other major currencies like the dollar, the pound, the euro and whatever. So for people in Europe to come to South Africa, it is a relatively cheap holiday. Because for every 1 rand that they want to buy, or for every $1 they give us, we are basically going to give them 13, 14, 15 rand. Right. So because of the weak exchange rate, we are also an attractive destination for people to come to because it is relatively cheap. All right. And then lastly, for foreign travel, okay, there's also been improvement in administration, right? Customs and border control have become more user-friendly because we are using new technology. Everything is computerized, so it's just quicker to use. Okay, obviously they still have to check the passport, they have to check unabridged certificates, all of that stuff still applies. But it is happening much faster because our technology is relatively new. Everything is computerized. So literally the process of going through customs and border control is happening a bit quicker and it's easier for people.